And if you had to share some tips or advice for, what has led to this successful partnership, what might you say?
Trust and communication. I think as far as the partnership itself, rather than the business per se, I think the other thing is really enjoying, having fun. We said from the beginning, if one of us is not having fun, then you need to tell the other person. That would be it. And I think we've been good at doing that. And I think we weren't particularly friends. We knew each other and we were colleagues. I think we've become very good friends and are engaged in each other's
lives,
private and family lives and whatever. But this has always been about, we have some good ideas. Mary will often call up, I know this is a crazy idea, but I've been thinking, and what do you think? Often it is a crazy idea, but it's a very important idea to talk through and work on. And that's how some of the things we've been involved in just recently have come to pass. I think the other thing is you have to have energy. You have to want to do it.
Yeah. I also look at the business relationship. I'm looking at a push and pull. I'd say I'm a risk taker. And it's not to say Gail isn't, but in some things related to the business, I'm a risk taker. And it's like, I'm kind of fearless. I could go without stepping back and really thinking about it and the pros and the cons. And Gail is very helpful in grounding me to say, okay, let's look at the pros and cons. And then we make we make a decision that we both can live with. I might keep calling her saying, I still think there's something here. On the opposite side, I think I draw out of Gail to make her a little more fearless.
And that's exactly the description that I would give. And when I said earlier, we're not the same.
No.
I mean, the reality is, I've been trained as an academic, and there's a lot of good news in that, but there's a lot of not so good news around spontaneity and risk taking, because of course, well, what's the evidence, and what about this, and what about that, and, but I think that's worked well for us, and we're so used to it. Mary knows she's going to say something, and I'm going to say, talk about it. And sometimes I'm going to say, I've been thinking about this, and my thinking wouldn't perhaps be as off the wall, but it would be something that I have seen is such a gap.
Yeah.
We need to do something about it. It's missing from the world, whatever that world is.
Yeah.
So I think that's been very important. Maybe that's what I mean more about trust. It's not just the people trust, it's the idea trust. Even when we do workshops, and over the years, especially when we were first getting going, Mary would say something and I'd have to interrupt her and say, well, did you ever think about whatever? And she'd interrupt me and say, that's right, isn't it? Or what do you think? So that's, we developed that. I think that's been our style.
But it's also an honesty of being able to say, this is not a good day. This is not a good time. We know each other well enough that we know in the tone, or if something else is happening, to do a check-in. That's also been one of our survival tips, is that constantly checking in.
We're good at giving each other permission to be who we are. That's really how I would describe it.
And that's sort of the most important part. Like, you want to be yourself, because there's no point being in a relationship where the other person.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think we want to help each other be ourselves. We want each of us to be successful as human beings.
Exactly.
I'm not talking about make money or whatever, but really be successgetting in whatever it is you want out of this life.
But it's also going back to your question about, do we have a plan? And we, getting ready for this call, we had a conversation. It's always good to talk about your business and, how it's very intuitive, it's very organic. But it's also accepting the other's strengths and not being, what is the word?
Not feeling like you're not enough or
less of.
Right, exactly.
So for example, we're in the middle of a couple of things. After this call, Gail and I are looking at a review to review some applications. And I'm looking forward to the conversation because I think I'm going to learn something here. That isn't my strength.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a starter, and it's always good to have someone come in behind and fill in the spots. I'm involved. I'm leading another project, which we'll tell you about. And Gail's going to start something around a letter of support for someone. Well, that's her strength. So it isn't like I want to do it, I'll try it. It's like at this stage of the game, like that's just a waste of time. You know where your strengths are, support each other, learn from each other, and everybody wins. You get to do more things. It's sharing the work.
It's like Mary says, there's a lot that's intuitive. We don't need to check out quite as many things as we might have had to check out, 25 years ago.
Right.
Now we kind of know, and almost nothing happens. It just seems to all of a sudden, nothing's planned. It just seems to happen. The one thing I will say that I think both of us are good at, Mary better than I, but we're both good at, is recognizing when we have something to offer. Doesn't mean other people don't have it to offer. Lots of people can do all kinds of wonderful things. But I think we start, and we still, even, at this stage of our own careers, I think we still want to give. We want to give something back. This is a profession, a life, a business that has been, I have no qualms in saying we have been privileged to have had a very rich career. So at this point, I think a lot of our attention, even on work, is this a way also to share something, to give something back?